like the filming of the Untold Story of James, the New York scene, it wasn't really good. But I want to give you some lead in of it. Like, I mean, you saw what happened. Like, so James, right? Betty wrecks his truck, right? But James is like the bigger person, and Betty's like, because there's this big dance, and Betty's like, oh, James won't go because he doesn't like the crowd. No, James doesn't like the crowd. Everybody's laughing at him because Betty wrecked his truck, and she knows Betty embarrassed him, right? But James is the bigger person. So James is like, I'm going to go to the dance. And you know what? He's like, even though everybody's like, Betty wrecked her truck and her dad won't even pay the insurance, he goes to the dance. And then he gets there and she's dancing with him, right? She's dancing with him. And James, here's the thing, James even told Betty that he was going to go to the dance. He told her. So she's on purpose dancing with him, and she wants to play like he got in the car with Inez, right? But Betty's a liar too, because Betty and Inez are in it together, right? Betty and Inez are in it together because Betty apparently wanted to go out with him, so she played James, and like James, she wrecks his truck, and then has Inez pull up, so she has an excuse to dance with him, right? James is getting played by both sides, Betty and Inez, and then Betty's like, "Well, Inez doesn't tell her, Betty doesn't tell her either." So James goes to dance, and then he's like, he confronts Betty. He's like, I told you I was going to be at the dance. And you know what Betty looks at him and says? She says, why don't you go on the internet and meet some girl and take her home? That's what Betty says to him. James like, I don't even know what you're talking about. You ruined my skateboard career. You wrecked my truck. So James gets home, and then as soon as he gets home, all of a sudden on his Facebook, he doesn't like it's his private Facebook. Like, you know, I mean, there's a few people he's in some groups and chats and whatever. All of a sudden, in his DMs, he goes, "Hey, what are you doing, James?" And it's this girl named Becky, right? He's like, "How do you know me?" And she goes, "Oh, I got your number from one of my friends. I got your Facebook account because, like, I seen you skateboard and you're really good at it, and I like your skateboarding style." James like, "Okay." So James starts talking to this Becky girl over some time. She lives in New York City, right? James is in Washington D.C. and James, she's like, why don't you come up to Washington D.C. or from Washington D.C. and meet me in New York City? And James like thinks she's home because Betty said, oh, why don't you meet some girl on the internet and take her home? James like, you don't want to know what? I'll come up. You seem like you're really cool. I don't have any money to get up to Washington D.C. from Washington D.C. to New York. My truck got wrecked by Becky. I guess you want to know what? Because like you seem like the one, like somebody I want to meet. James sells his skateboard, right? He sells his skateboard because James is trying to move on, so he sells his skateboard to get enough money to go up to New York City to meet Becky. And he gets up to New York City, right? And he's looking all over for Becky. He goes to the east side of town. Like Becky says, meet me on the east side of town tomorrow. James goes there with his fake ID. James is only 18, 17, or 17, right? He can't, but he's got fake ID. And because Becky says she's older. She says she's 21. And James is like, okay. She's like, are you going to be able to get in? He's like, I got fake ID. Don't worry about it. James gets into the bar on the east side of town. Nobody's there, right? Nobody's there. And then James is sitting in New York City for a minute. And then all of a sudden, Becky and Selena Gomez, Inez, are doing a group chat, dancing around, going, "Hi, James. Ha, we made it up. It was me and Inez. Told you to go to New York City, and we all planned it because I wanted to dance with my." James gets upset because what's wrong with Becky? And then James goes and he gets on the N train, falls asleep. He's up in Coney Island. He's very scared because he's only 17 years old. He's never been anywhere before. And he sleeps on the beach of Coney Island by himself, right? And he goes and he gets a Nationals hot dog. That's all James has got the money for. He sold his skateboard. Now James is back in Washington, D.C. And he's like thinking about like, oh, Betty and Selena Gomez, Inez are liars Anyway, that's where we're at with the untold story of James.